Most seniors believe vegetables are always safe, but some of them can actually trigger heartburn, joint pain, or even dangerous blood sugar spikes. Today, I'll reveal the 10 vegetables you should avoid after 50, because one wrong choice could silently damage your health. You know, I often hear people say, if it grew in the ground, it must be healthy. And for the most part, that's true. Vegetables have carried us through centuries of survival. They're colorful, full of nutrients, and doctors tell us to eat more of them. But here's the surprising truth. Not all vegetables are safe for seniors. In fact, some of the most common vegetables on your plate could be making you sick, tired, or in pain. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying it because I've seen it happen, over and over. Seniors struggling with health problems they thought had nothing to do with food, until they made a small change in their diet and suddenly felt lighter, more energetic, more at ease. So today, we're taking a careful look at 10 vegetables seniors should avoid, or at least eat with caution. And I promise to explain why with simple stories that make sense. By the end of this video, you'll know which vegetables to rethink and what you can do instead. All right, let's dive into the very first one. Tomatoes. Bright red, juicy, and used in just about everything. Sauces, soups, salads. Seems harmless, right? But let me tell you about Mr. Roy, my old neighbor. He was in his early 70s, cheerful, loved gardening. And every night, he ended his dinner with a warm bowl of tomato soup. It was his comfort food. But here's the thing. Almost every night, not long after that soup, he'd get this terrible burning sensation in his chest. He called it fire in the throat. At first, he blamed spicy food, then age, even stress. But the culprit was sitting right there in his soup bowl. Tomatoes are naturally acidic. That acidity can trigger acid reflux and heartburn, which many seniors already struggle with. But that's not all. Tomatoes are part of the nightshade family, which in some people can worsen arthritis pain. Imagine eating something you think is healthy, but it's quietly fueling the very pain in your joints. Now, does this mean you must throw out every tomato in your kitchen? Not necessarily. If you're sensitive to acidity or arthritis flare-ups, cutting back can bring relief. Some people do better with cooked tomatoes than raw because cooking reduces the acid a bit. Others switch to less acidic alternatives, like pumpkin or roasted red peppers. The key is this. Listen to your body. If that comforting pasta sauce keeps you up at night, maybe it's time to rethink it. Now, let's move to another classic, the potato. Mashed, fried, baked, boiled, it's everywhere. For many, potatoes are comfort food from childhood. But here's a fact that shocks most people. One baked potato can spike your blood sugar faster than a candy bar. I met a gentleman, a diabetic in his late 60s, who was puzzled. He avoided desserts, said no to cookies, but still, his blood sugar kept spiking. The doctor finally asked him about his dinners, and there it was, potatoes every night, mashed, fried, or in curry. He thought they were safe because, well, they're vegetables. Here's the science in simple terms. Potatoes are high in something called the glycemic index. That means they turn into sugar very quickly once digested. For seniors managing diabetes, that's like pouring fuel on a fire. It can lead to sudden fatigue, weight gain, and long-term complications. Does that mean you can never enjoy a potato again? Not exactly. Some seniors do better with sweet potatoes, which have more fiber and nutrients, though they should still be eaten in moderation. Pairing potatoes with protein, like chicken or fish, can slow the sugar spike a little. But the lesson is clear. Just because it grows in the ground doesn't mean it's gentle on your body. Sometimes the simplest foods carry the biggest surprises. Next on our list, eggplant. Beautiful, shiny, purple. In many cultures, eggplant curries and casseroles are family favorites. But here's a story. A lady in her 70s once told me she loved eggplant curry, but dreaded the day after. Her knees always ached more. She thought it was just her arthritis getting worse, until her doctor explained the link. Eggplant is also a nightshade vegetable, and nightshades can be tricky for people with joint issues. They contain compounds that, in some individuals, increase inflammation. Imagine enjoying your favorite curry, but waking up unable to walk comfortably. Of course, not everyone reacts the same way. Some seniors eat eggplant with no trouble at all. But if you've noticed a pattern, your joints hurt more the day after an eggplant meal, it's worth testing. Cut it out for a few weeks. See if your body feels lighter. And the good news? You can replace eggplant with zucchini or pumpkin in many recipes. Similar texture, much less risk of joint pain. Sometimes, it's not about giving up your favorite dishes. It's about finding new ways to enjoy them without the pain. So, let's pause and recap. We've talked about tomatoes, potatoes, and eggplants. 3 foods we grew up thinking were healthy. But for seniors, they can mean heartburn, sugar spikes, and aching joints. Notice the theme here? Your body at 70 doesn't process food the same way it did at 30. What once gave you strength may now quietly steal it away. Now, let's talk about corn. Sweet corn on the cob, popcorn at the movies. It's a symbol of joy and gatherings. But here's what many seniors don't realize. Corn is high in starch, and for older digestive systems, it's tough to break down. That means bloating, gas, and sometimes even constipation. I remember talking to an older gentleman who said, "Every time I eat corn, I feel heavy, like there's a brick in my stomach." He thought it was age catching up with him, but really, it was his body struggling with the complex fibers in corn. On top of that, corn raises blood sugar quickly, just like potatoes. And most of the corn we find today is processed into chips, syrups, or cereals, which only make things worse. If you love corn, moderation is key. And instead of popcorn or cornflakes, try fiber-rich alternatives like oats or roasted chickpeas. Your gut will thank you. Onions add flavor to just about every dish. Soups, curries, stir-fries, they're everywhere. But as we age, onions can become, let's just say, unfriendly guests. They're notorious for causing gas and stomach pain. One senior told me, "I love onions, but they don't love me back." And he was right. Onions also interact with certain medications, especially blood thinners, because they naturally thin the blood as well. For someone on heart medication, that can be risky. Now, does this mean you must live a life without flavor? Not at all. Try cooked garlic, herbs like thyme or rosemary, or even leeks, which are gentler on the stomach. Flavor without the pain. That's the goal. Colorful, crunchy, delicious. Peppers look so innocent. But remember, they're also nightshades, just like eggplant and tomatoes. A senior once told me her hands would swell after eating stuffed peppers. She thought it was coincidence. But once she stopped eating them, the swelling calmed down. Peppers, especially the spicy ones, can also irritate the stomach lining, causing heartburn or even ulcers to flare. If you crave the crunch of peppers, swap them for carrots or celery. They bring freshness without the hidden price. So now we've added corn, onions, and peppers to the list. That's 6 common vegetables that may bring more harm than good for seniors. Gas, bloating, joint pain, sugar spikes. It's not the food you eat, but how your body handles it now. Cabbage rolls, coleslaw, sauerkraut, they all sound delicious. But for many seniors, cabbage spells trouble. Raw cabbage is hard to digest, leading to gas and bloating. I once spoke to Mrs. Das, who loved cabbage rolls, but she always felt her stomach balloon afterward. She thought it was just part of aging, but really, it was the cabbage. And here's another concern. Cabbage belongs to a group called goitrogens, which can interfere with thyroid function. For seniors already managing thyroid problems, too much cabbage can worsen fatigue, weight gain, or mood swings. If you enjoy cabbage, try cooking it well. It makes it easier to digest. But if you notice bloating or thyroid troubles, it's worth cutting back. Radishes look harmless, crunchy, refreshing, perfect for salads. But here's the catch. Radishes can irritate sensitive stomach linings. I once heard a senior joke, "Radishes are tiny, but they fight in my stomach like they're huge." For someone with ulcers, acid reflux, or chronic indigestion, radishes can be painful. Instead, try cucumber for that crunch, or carrots for sweetness. You'll still get freshness without the stomach war. Here's the shocker. Spinach. We all grew up with Popeye, right? Spinach equals strength. But here's the twist. Spinach is very high in oxalates. These compounds can build up in the body and form kidney stones. One senior shared his story. He drank spinach smoothies every morning, thinking he was doing something good. A year later, he was in the hospital with painful kidney stones. His doctor explained the spinach was the problem. Now, spinach isn't bad for everyone, but if you've ever had kidney stones or weak kidneys, spinach should be limited. Rotate with other greens like kale, romaine, or lettuce. Variety is often the best medicine. And finally, mushrooms. Not technically vegetables, but they often land on the dinner plate. Mushrooms can be tricky because some are hard to digest. Seniors with sensitive stomachs often feel bloated or nauseous afterward. And allergies to mushrooms are more common than people think. Mr. Ali, a friend of mine, couldn't figure out why he felt sick every time he ate his favorite mushroom soup. It wasn't age. It was his body reacting to the fungi. If you love the texture of mushrooms, swap them with zucchini or cauliflower. Same bite, fewer digestive issues. Let's quickly go over the 10 vegetables. Tomatoes, potatoes, eggplant, corn, onions, peppers, cabbage, radishes, spinach, and mushrooms. Now, let me be clear. None of these vegetables are bad for everyone. But for seniors, these are the ones most likely to cause acid reflux, joint pain, sugar spikes, bloating, kidney stones, or stomach upset. And if you've been feeling unwell without knowing why, your plate may hold the answer. So, what's the big takeaway? Eating healthy as a senior isn't about eating more. It's about eating smarter. Your body has changed, and your food choices need to change with it. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with a friend or family member, because chances are someone you know is struggling with the very same issues. And don't forget to subscribe for more simple, science-backed health tips that keep you feeling younger, longer. Remember this. Good health isn't about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.